Stimmies, stimulation, free money you could say that gets the people going. Everyone's excited for this next American round, but in reality here it's just the government's making it rain peanuts. But since there's stimmy handouts, there's been a way to turn those peanuts into gold. How? Find out in about 10 minutes or less, because it's time for Chico Crypto. Oh, Big Papa Bitcoin, the king crypto and based on hash power, king proof of work blockchain. It's withstood the test of time further than any other altcoin. Thus today it's over 50 G's to obtain a whole BTC. We are currently witnessing BTC's transition from the people's crypto asset to the corporation and hedge fund whale's crypto asset. Not that many people have 50K laying around. Corporations and rich whales do, though. Michael Saylor scored some more of the asset, $10 million worth, which netted MicroStrategy about 205 more BTC. Then it was announced NYDIG raised $200 million from partners to grow and accelerate Bitcoin adoption. The article also stated NYDIG also announced today the life annuity and property and casualty insurers now own in aggregate more than 1 billion of direct and indirect Bitcoin exposure, facilitated exclusively by NYDIG and held on by NYDIG's secure, audited, and insured institutional custody platform. Jeez Louise, it was hot. But then another big one. Yesterday, a Norwegian oil billionaire took a big bet on Bitcoin by creating a new company, CTAS, to tap into the potential of the asset. Going to the website, we can see the first move, picking up the treasury asset, Bitcoin, 1,170 of them, and the strategy is to HODL. Like I said, BTC is transitioning before our eyes, and to paint this picture, let's talk about those stimmies, stimulus checks. Everyone's getting excited because the US Senate passed a $1.9 trillion stimulus package, which included a third round of individual checks to eligible people worth $1,400. But to get the Chico type of picture painted, we need to rewind to the first stimulus checks. Back in April of 2020, in the middle of the month, the first round of stimulus checks were sent out or directly deposited. This was worth a measly $1,200. A smart thing to do back then would have been to invest it into Bitcoin. Why? Well, looking at the charts, the price was low, about $6,629. How much is that $1,200 today if you invested it into BTC with the price growth? Well, luckily there's a website that tracks just that, BitcoinStimulus.net, and looking there, over $9,208, turning $1,200 into nearly 10 grand in less than a year. And back in April of 2020, with $1,200, you could get nearly a fifth of a Bitcoin with that, 0.20. Today, how much does $1,200 get you? 0.024. Instead of 20% of a Bitcoin in April of 2020, today $1,200 gets you about 2.4% of one. But it's $1,400 coming this time, not $1,200, so let's edit it. A person would have gotten about 2.8% of one if they would have received and invested yesterday. So I hope you see the narrative. The 1-2 punch is coming. Some of these stimmy checks are coming for BTC and crypto. Many of the people missed out on the first one, turning that $1,200 into almost 10 G's. They missed out on the second one. Yes, there was a second stimmy that came at the end of December 2020 for a measly $600. But if you would have put it into BTC, luckily Bitcoin Stimulus tracks that one too, it would be worth nearly $1,100, a return of 87% in under 2.5 months. I don't think many of the smart ones will miss out on a third. So another's people punch is coming, but the corporation punches it too. Like I showed, many have been punching lately. Of course, Saylor and Norwegian Billionaires, but also Musk, PayPal, Square, Venmo, Citibank, and the list goes on and on. These entities can accumulate entire BTCs at these price levels, and they have been. Like the CT Norwegian company. It is the company's treasury asset, an asset on the company's balance sheet. From a billionaire oil mogul. If you would have said that was coming in 2017, you would have been laughed at. But I've seen it coming. The transition of Bitcoin, it began as the people's asset. It is now moving to the corp's asset, and then its eventual full transition, the country's and global asset. Just like that shiny metal before Gold 2.0, Bitcoin 1.0, gold. The people used gold as a currency even before the Common Era. The Romans, Persians, the Greeks all utilized gold coins. But the first recorded instance of people using gold coin as a currency dates back to before the second millennium BC with the Lydians. The people of early empires, they got to have gold, but eventually the scarcity of the asset wouldn't allow that as the populations grew. Thus, paper currency backed by gold welcomed itself to the modern world. We all know how that turned out for the Americas. The people rushed for the asset that would back the country's currency, the gold rush in the mid to late 1800s, their chance to accumulate, and many did. But the government stepped in, and by 1933, under the Emergency Banking Act, they made it illegal for citizens to own gold. Gold went into the corp's hands, the bankers' hands, and the government's hands. And now, today, even though it's illegal to own again, not many citizens own a gold bar, not many own the big dog or the kilo, shoot, barely anybody owns the ounce. The citizens own paper currency, even though paper currency isn't backed by gold anymore. Gold is majority owned by the corps, the bankers, and the governments of countries. They still see and HODL its value. Bitcoin is following a similar path, but at an accelerated pace because of technology. It really began as the people's asset. Anyone with a computer had a fair chance of obtaining it. It gained value in 2009, small value cents, but cents became dollars, still in the reach of the people. Dollars became hundreds of dollars, still in the reach of the people. Hundreds became thousands of dollars, getting out of reach. And now, throughout 2020, thousands has become over 50,000. A whole Bitcoin is out of the reach for a majority of the population. But not for the corpse, whales, and even the bankers. They're scooping BTC up at around these levels. BitGo just put out a blog about public and private companies with Bitcoin reserves totaling over $55 billion. Corps like Tesla and Micro, but also insurance giants like MassMutual. Who did they invest through? Oh hey, there is NYDIG. But also bankers like Fidelity, and then below, those whales managing funds. It's happening before our eyes, like I said, and the next question is, when is a country going to go all in? Yes, a country adding it to their reserves, just like they do with gold. And in Chico's opinion, the question is not if this will happen, the question is when, even for the good old US of A. Very nice. Why do I think this? Well, if you didn't know, some countries are already indirectly holding it. The Norwegian government has something called their oil and gas pension fund, which has invested in over 9,200 companies in 74 countries. One of those companies is, searching into their fund and equities, we can see they own nearly 1.1% of MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy today owns 91,604 BTC. 1.1% of that, the Norwegian government today indirectly owns over 1,007 BTC. Indirect HODL to direct country HODL. It's only a matter of time, and I would bet my bottom dollar, no pun intended, that some countries' governments are in silent accumulation mode or have been for some time. Let me tell you, this digital currency movement, Gold 2.0, will involve a techno-economic fight that crosses borders through the internet like never before. The common theme with government banks and feds is Bitcoin is bad. Central banks will never HODL it. That's what the European Central Bank president said on February 10th. Just a week later, the US Fed came out and said a similar thing. Yeah, it's gross, not a challenge to our dominance. In my opinion, there is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for a country to silently accumulate a Bitcoin position and later announce its holdings. And if they were silent about it, they would be doing just what is happening. Bitcoin is bad. We don't HODL it. But Chico knows what you really mean, and so do your corporate friends. Cheers, viewers. I'll see you next time.